Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Sports Talk Show College Football Saturday Preview with your host, Alec Peccato. Before I start, I want to show you my Twitter. My Twitter is the Alec Peccato. I would recommend giving it a follow because that is where, if you don't see my upset picks on stream, that is where I post them before stream or after stream, as well as during games. I will tweet about certain things during certain college football games or pro football games. But now to the show. Today we've got upset picks, and I've also got my Saturday game picks. So let's get started. And I do starting now on Fridays, Tuesday and Friday will be college football exclusive. Tuesdays are going to be upset picks and power rankings for the SEC, Big Ten, and AAC, and the Big 12. And Fridays are going to be upset picks, game picks. The first upset of the Friday slate that I was going to do last night, but didn't because I had some things come up, is I have USF for the second week in a row on here. And I have them upsetting Navy. And as you see, USF covers and wins outright. +3. They're 3.5, 3-point dogs. And I think they upset Navy. My number 2 upset of the week is Houston +8.5 over Texas Tech. I think Houston pulls the upset here. My number 3 upset of the week is East Carolina +3 over Rice. And I like East Carolina to pull the upset here because I used Rice last week against USF as a team that was an upset alert, and I'm doing it again. They are on upset alert for the second week in a row, Rice. My cover number one of the week is Charlotte +23.5 over SMU. I like Rice. I mean Charlotte to cover the 23.5. Number 2 cover of the week from the Friday slate is I like Virginia +3.5 to cover over Boston College. And now to everyone's favorite part, the over-unders. I'm taking the over in the Tulane UAB game. Both teams can score, and the over-under set at 58.5. I am hammering the over in this game because I feel like this is going to be a high-scoring affair. My next over is Duke Notre Dame. The over-under set at 52.5, and I'm taking the over. I think this is going to be a shootout for one reason. Notre Dame is upset that they blew the game last week against Ohio State. So I think they're going to come out and score and score and score more. And my under for going forward, ladies and gentlemen, you get 2 overs and an under. for the over-under portion of this segment. So, the under, the Maryland, Indiana, I'm taking the under of 50 and a half. Indiana cannot, they score, but they don't score enough points to the point where I would feel safe taking the over. So I'm taking the under here. Now, here are 3 player projections for college football week 5. First, I have Tulane quarterback Michael Pratt throwing for over 300 yards against UAB with 3 passing touchdowns and 50 to 65 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. My number 2 player to watch this week is Miami of Ohio quarterback, and this name may sound familiar. The last name, that is Brett Gabbert. I think he's going to throw for over 150 yards and 3 touchdowns against Kent State today, because Kent State cannot play good defense. Over 150 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 45 yards rushing. And I got to give love to a Big Ten quarterback not named Kyle McCord. And that is Michigan State quarterback Noah Kemp. Over 180 yards passing and not 1, not 2, 3 passing touchdowns and 15 yards rushing. Before I start the next segment, if you haven't already, I would recommend joining my Patreon. It's only $4 a month. The link to the Patreon is in the About Me section of my YouTube. And I would highly recommend joining, because that is where you get my rankings, my top 15 rankings every week going forward for the NFL. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver rankings, and waiver wire rankings as well. So, but back to the show. First thing I'm going to do is preview the Navy USF game. So, as we saw last week, USF played Rice, and they put up over 40 points. And I think they may be able to do that again. One player to watch for USF, and I'm going to stay away from Byron Brown, because I talked about him on Tuesday. It is transfer wide receiver from Wagner, Naeem Simmons. The kid is electric. Last week, he had a bunch of catches, but most of them were for over 40 yards. So he's the deep play threat for USF. And I like this Todd Orlando defense. I know they gave up 29 points, but I think they're rounding into form. And as the season goes on, I think that they can be one of the best defenses in the American Athletic Conference. Now, next game I am going to preview is Ole Miss LSU. This is a big game for both teams. Ole Miss, if they win, this would be an upset. I don't think they're going to upset LSU, but I think this is going to be a really good game. Here we go. This is going to be the game of the day, in my opinion. Notre Dame, Duke, Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame and Duke, I think this, like I said in an earlier segment, I think Notre Dame is going to score a lot of points, and same with Duke. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Duke has been a vastly, I think they're the most underappreciated, undefeated team in college football right now. Nobody is giving them credit for being undefeated. No, I'm even not giving them a lot of credit for being undefeated. But if they beat Notre Dame, I'm going to have to take them serious and really think about moving them up my rankings on Monday. But I like this game to be high scoring. And here's my thoughts on USF through 4 games so far. I like what they've I like what USF's done through 4 games. And I think they can still win 6 or 7 games this year, maybe 8, and win the conference. But regular season, that is, because they don't have to play Tulane in the regular season, but they might have to play Tulane in the conference championship game. Ladies and gentlemen, I do offer a fantasy football league to all subscribers and people that have watched my videos. We are trying to fill it up. Preferably, it's probably going to be 2024 when we start the league. So please join. You get to compete with me and my co-host. Why I think Byron Brown of USF is a dark horse for the Heisman. One, he leads, if y'all didn't know, he leads the nation in rushing yards for quarterbacks, which I didn't know until last week when I watched the game. You would have thought I would have known that since I'm a USF fan, but I didn't know. But that's why I think he's a dark horse, and he should get Heisman votes. With my Heisman, how I do it is I do it based on how the player played the previous week. So like Byron Brown last week, the reason he was on my list for the Heisman after week 4 is because he played really good against Rice. And my Heisman list changes every week. So like you may see him, like last week you saw him. You may not see him this week if he has a bad game. Now to my Saturday selections. I have 4 games that I'm picking the winners from. My first one, Syracuse-Clemson. I'm picking Syracuse to win because Syracuse, I think Clemson is on the downward trajectory, and I think Clemson hangs around, but in the second half, I think Syracuse blows them out of the building. My number 2 pick this week for winner, Virginia Tech Pittsburgh. I think Pitt wins this game. Again, I've talked about Pitt every so often. We don't know what they truly are. We don't know if they're a good team or we don't know if they're a bad team. It's week to week, it varies. But I've got a beating Virginia Tech this week. I don't think Virginia Tech's winning another game. Maryland, Indiana. I had this on the over-under section last segment, and I have Maryland winning this game. I don't think Indiana can hang around with Maryland. That's the issue. And if people want to disagree with me on that, you can. If you think Maryland can hang around for the whole game, let me know on Twitter or X, whatever it's called. And my last one, I've got Kentucky beating Florida. This is a big game for Kentucky. I think they beat Florida. I don't trust Florida. Graham Mertz is not a good quarterback. I'm sorry, Florida fans, if I offend you at all. But Graham Mertz, the reason he left Wisconsin is because he knew he was going to lose his job at some point. And that is why I have Kentucky beating Florida. And again, follow me on Twitter or X at the Alec Pecano, all lowercase. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the video, as I do live streams like this almost every day except for Sunday and every so often Wednesday I'll do a live stream. But I did say next week on Wednesday there will be a live stream. But going forward, my schedule is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then October 21st, I do have a play-by-play for the Tennessee-Alabama game with my co-host, Robbie Colleton. And then November 17th is the last play-by-play of the college football season. It is UTSA and South Florida, Friday, November 17th at 9 o'clock in the evening, 9 p.m. But, again, I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate every single one of you. And please recommend me to your friends and family, as I do give really good fantasy football advice. And speaking of fantasy football, if you have any fantasy football questions for Sunday, send them to me on X at the Alec Pecano or on Instagram at Alec Thomas Pecano 24, and I will answer them. As well as I may be having a stream tomorrow before the NFL games start. So like 8:30, I may be doing a 1-hour stream, 30-minute stream for anybody who wants to join tomorrow and talk fantasy football. And again, if you just joined, welcome in. Go follow me on Twitter at the Alec Pecano, all lowercase. That is where, if you missed out on the upset picks for Friday, for the stream today, that is where you can see the upset picks. And if you have any, this is the portion of the show now where if you have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments down below and I will answer them. If not, that'll do it for today's stream. I will see y'all probably tomorrow. And have a great night. Have a great day. Goodbye.